What is up, Lions fans? What is up? Welcome back to another episode of the Bleav in Lions podcast. That's what we do here. We believe in the Lions. Regardless of what happens, we believe in the Lions. So welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Glover Quin, a former Detroit Lion. Now your host here on the Bleav in Lions podcast. Take a deep breath. Breathe in, breathe out. Woosah. Get it all out. Today probably wasn't the greatest day for Lions fans, but it's not the end. It's not the end. It's not the end. And if we believe in the Lions, then we should believe in Brad Holmes and the people that he's brought in. We should believe in Dan Campbell, although he's a gambler. He's a gambler. And we're going to talk about that onside kick yesterday. And we're going to talk about him going forward because I feel like with all the injuries that they're dealing with, he's right now his offense is what he has. The defense is depleted with tons and tons of injuries. I just feel bad for those guys because it's tough and it's hard to stop these offenses, especially now at the end of the season when they're probably hitting their stride. They're rolling now. They understand the systems, the timing. These offenses are rolling right now. That's why you're seeing 40+ points, right? So Dan Campbell, AKA Dan Gamble, he's going to have to do that a lot. He's going to have to, take chances, more of them on fourth down. Because I don't think you can put the defense out there continuously to try to stop these offenses. I just don't think that's going to work. You got a lot of guys out there that are new, that are still trying to learn the system. A lot of your players are hurt. I mean, on every level, from the D-line, losing to Liam McNeil yesterday. You've already lost Aiden Hutchinson. You already lost Marcus Davenport, John Kaminsky, all the guys that, you've already lost those guys. So now they're playing with guys on the D-line that, I mean, not saying they're not good football players, but guys that we don't even know. I mean, outside of DJ Reader, these are all new guys that are going to be out there. Even Zadarius Smith, I guess I need to look back at the game. I may need to look at the stats. I don't even know if he had an impact play yesterday. I don't remember one. So it's just going to get tough. You go to the linebackers, Anzalone being out. Malcolm Rodriguez being out. Jalen Reeves-May been out. It's tough. It's tough. You go to secondary, you lose Carlton Davis. Broke his jaw. I mean, now you got Terrion Arnold still out there. Rackstraw is hurt, got a hamstring. It's tough. It's tough. And I mean, these last 3 weeks, haven't really felt the big play presence from the secondary. I don't think we've caught an interception in 3 or 4 games. Kirby hasn't caught one. Brian hasn't caught one. Terrion hasn't caught one. It's tough, but it all goes together. When you're not getting a lot of pressure on the quarterback and putting him in uncomfortable situations, you tend to not get a lot of interceptions because these quarterbacks are good. They're throwing the ball to their guys. And if they're not pressured or forced to throw the ball in a hurry, they can almost throw the ball where they want to throw the ball. So it's been tough. It's been tough. And I mean, if you look at yesterday's game, I mean, losing David Montgomery, I don't know if the Lions can win games if Jared Goff has to throw the ball 55+ times. We lost to Tampa earlier in this season. He threw the ball 55 times. We lost yesterday. He threw it 59 times. Now, although yesterday he did throw for 5 touchdowns with no interceptions, and against Tampa he threw no touchdowns and 2 interceptions, all right? But if Jared Goff has to throw the ball that many times, that means you're losing the game. You're not getting stops. Because if you're getting stops and you're winning the game, now you're able to run the ball and control the game. So then now Jared Goff throws the ball 25 to 30 times. If he gets into the 50s, now you're not running the ball as much. You lose David Montgomery yesterday, so now that puts a lot of pressure on Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, some people may say, well, Jahmyr Gibbs gets to get more touches. True statement. But you can also key in on Jahmyr Gibbs too. How is he going to be? Is he going to be as effective from a fatigue standpoint? You know, you go from getting 15 touches a game to now you're getting 25 to 30 touches a game. That's a lot. It's a lot of pressure. Jameson Williams got to step up. I know it would have been a tough catch, and it probably would have came back yesterday because of the holding, but the fans want to see you make those tough catches. Jared Goff throws a strike down the field. They want to see you make those tough catches. You have to make those if you're going to be a Super Bowl team. Amon-Ra St. Brown had a big game. 180-some yards and a touchdown. Sam Laporta made a couple plays. But that is not the formula that the Lions use to win football games. That's not the formula. So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting going down the stretch. It's going to be very interesting going down the stretch. And I don't know if the Super Bowl odds have changed, but if they have changed, you still can bet on the Lions using Bet Online, who's our sponsor. They continue to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, Bet Online provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football to NBA, college basketball, NHL, and the UFC. Head to Bet Online today and don't forget to use the promo code Bleav, that's BLEAV, for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, the game starts here. So it's a pretty cool little segue, right? You can still bet on the Lions and you can bet online, right? Pretty cool. So yeah, I think it's going to be a tougher road right now for the Lions, and I don't think they can worry about the playoffs, none of that stuff. They got to worry about getting guys caught up to speed so they can go to Chicago and win, because they're in a situation right now with Minnesota that is going to come down to that last game, and if Minnesota wins that last game, the Lions can go from the potential number one seed in the NFC to where the playoffs, the Super Bowl goes through Detroit to a wild card. And they don't even get a home game. So think about a season like that, guys. You go from 12-1 to now you don't win the division. You don't even get a home playoff game. That would be brutal. And I just feel bad for the fans. So we have to find a way to continue to believe in the Lions so that they dig out of this hole. Because I've been on the other side of that. I've been in that scenario. Yes, 2012 was playing with the Houston Texans. I think we came to Detroit on Thanksgiving, played the Lions. We won. That was the Jim Schwartz challenge flag. Justin Forsett, was it a touchdown? He was clearly down, but Jim Schwartz threw the flag, couldn't review it, right? We were 12-1 or 11-1, something like that, maybe 11-1. In the last 4 games of the season, we went 1-3. We went to New England and we lost. We came home, we beat the Colts, and we won. That clinched the division. We were 12-2. We lose to Minnesota, and then we lose to Indy. We went from the potential number one seed in the AFC to the 3 seed, because we still won our division. But now we were the 3 seed. So instead of us getting all home games, we got one home game. Then we had to go to New England. We got knocked out. With Minnesota being right on the lines, they could go from the 1 seed to the wild card. That is brutal. That is brutal. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Dan Campbell, Dan Gamble, Aaron Glenn, Ben Johnson, how they pull the guys together, how they scheme up, how they coach these games to win, to where now you get that winner take all game against Minnesota and you find a way to win it at home. At home. Okay. But a couple of things from the game yesterday. Dan Campbell, aka Dan Gamble. That was a risky play. I don't like that play, the onside kick, just because of the new rules. If it wasn't for the new rules, maybe you try to surprise onside. But when you got to declare, hey, we're going to kick an onside kick with 12 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, I don't know if that's the move. And you can say, well, they're not stopping guys, so you got to try find ways to get the ball back. Sure. But you definitely not going to stop him from the 3-yard line. And it was a great kick. It was a great onside kick. The guy from the Bills just made a better play. I don't necessarily like the call, though. I would have liked to see them kick it and show that confidence in your defense that we can scheme. So it's still 12 minutes left to go in the game. Still a lot of game left to play. I wouldn't have liked, I just, because you had the momentum at that point. You had just went down and scored. You got the momentum. When you got to declare an onside kick, it kind of changes the whole scope of the game. And then they make that play and they score right again in one play. One play they scored. So you drove and scored, and then they come right back and score in one play. Takes all the momentum because you're having to work so hard to score. You're having to work so hard to score. And they just scored in one play off of the onside kick. So going forward, Dan Campbell, AKA Dan Gamble, he's going to have to be very strategic in how he coaches these games. Ben Johnson is going to have to be very strategic in how he calls these games, because you're going to have to help your defense out. You're going to have to help your defense out. You're going to have to help your offense out too, because you don't have David Montgomery anymore. So it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot. But if anybody can do it, I Bleav in the Lions. I Bleav in the Lions. I Bleav they're battle tested. I Bleav they do have good enough players to where they can finish this season. Will it end up in the Super Bowl? I don't know. But can they finish the season? I Bleav they can. I Bleav they can go to Chicago and win. I Bleav they can go to San Francisco and win. And I Bleav that they can beat Minnesota at home. And if you can do those things, that still gives you the number 1 seed in the NFC. And then you just never know what happens in the playoff. Other teams can have injuries as well, right? It's not over. It's not over. Is it a tough day? Yes. But is it over? No, it's not. Feel bad for David Montgomery having a great season. Feel bad for him. Feel bad for Lee McNeil. He's having a great season, just got paid. And then you get an ACL at this point. So you're going to miss the rest of this season. Probably going to miss, the majority of next season. And even when you do come back, it's still going to be a little while for you to get back to who you were. So that's tough. Carlton Davis, man, you break a jaw in a game. That's tough. I feel bad for these guys because they've worked really hard to put themselves in this position. The city of Detroit has worked really hard to put themselves in this position. And after last night, losing to the Bills and dealing with all the injuries that they're having to deal with, half of America is probably saying, we knew it would happen to the Lions. So I actually feel really, really bad for the fans and the day that they've had to endure, the 24 hours they've had to endure. But like I said, we cannot lose hope. We got to continue to believe in the Lions. There's a way. There's a way. There's a way that it can still happen. It's going to be tough. Of course it is. But if you're from Detroit, hard-nosed, blue-collar, hard workers, how else would you want it other than to be tough? It's not easy out here. Life isn't easy. It can't be easy. It's hard. So it's a very fitting way for the Lions to overcome so many odds, and still get it done. But you got to believe it. You got to believe it. Okay, so we still need the support of the fans. We still need your support on our pod. Go and rate us, review us on Apple, leave comments, questions on YouTube, all those different things. Stay engaged. I try to give you as many insights as I can from what I see. And the thing that I took out of yesterday is we can't win with Jared Goff throwing the ball 55 plus times. We can't fall down 14-0. We can't fall in that hole. So we're going to have to start trying to take the ball first and go and score. Really put together some methodical drives to run the clock, get guys involved, and score. The offense is going to have to score almost every time. Almost every time. Because defenses historically are better at home. The next two games for us are on the road. And yes, it's against Chicago, who they should beat. But Chicago is coming into this game thinking about the second half of the Thanksgiving game. They gave them hope. So they're going to try to come back and attack and avenge that. San Francisco, you got to travel. You got to travel. And I know we've been looking forward to that game because of what happened last year in the NFC playoffs when we had them on the ropes. Should have been going to the Super Bowl. So I know we've been looking forward to going back to San Francisco and writing that ship the same way we went to Dallas and wrote that ship. They still can do it. They still can do it. You just got to believe in the Lions. You got to believe in the Lions. So now we'll see. Now we'll really see, were we front runners? Were we front runners? Or did you really believe in the Lions? Because today, on Monday, December the 16th, if you check your Super Bowl odds, they've probably dropped for the Lions. If you've checked all your favorite analysts, the Super Bowl favorite picks have probably dropped for the Lions. Half of the world is probably counting the Lions out. They're cooked. They're hurt. They're done. Everybody. We always had those shirts. Detroit versus everybody. And it's not more evident than right now. It is literally Detroit versus everybody. So if you really, really, really believe in the Lions, now is the time for you to stand up and not be quiet and still rep the Detroit Lions. Because I believe in the Lions. That is the podcast for today. The Lions, they'll figure it out. Brad Holmes, I trust him. He's done a great job. Dan Campbell has done a great job. Guys are going to have a chip on their shoulder. They got 2 weeks to get ready for Minnesota. I think they can still beat Chicago. I think they can still beat San Francisco. But we got to go. We got to go. And like I said, I believe in the Lions, baby. So if you believe in the Lions, hit the like button, Subscribe, share the podcast, continue to talk and support your Lions. Continue to get those guys hope. Let them know that we're still riding with them. Even though America is counting them out, true Lions fans are still riding with you. And I'll see you next time.